Morning, guys. So I'm just going to pan around the room here and just to see how we keep toasty warm in Bulgaria in the mountains. It's minus 16 last night. So here's how we keep warm. That's number one. The mainstay. Look at that, roaring away. Now on top of the fire, I've got inside that where it says olives. That's a tin. That's a sand battery. So that's full of sand. So that'll heat up during the day, and then I'll put it over by the bed. And there's the whistling kettle. Which it's always good to have water heating up on the fire because that retains the heat as well in the room. Even if you don't use it, at least you're using the excess heat. And that there on top of the fire, that's a Turkish thing. It's like a radiator. So it's part of the flue, and that gives out an enormous amount of heat. And then as you go up, it's virtually almost touchable as it goes through the floor there and further up. You can almost touch it in the room above. So that's the little setup here. And I've been keeping the fire going now round the clock because I'll explain why in a second. Now, apart from that, we've got the sun coming out. Look at the sun blaring in. That's amazing, and that makes a hell of a difference when the sun comes out, even at low temperatures like this. We've got the halogen heater. The 2-bar heater's still in the water chamber. And over there we've got my manifestation. All them rocks are up from all over the Balkans, all different areas and mountain ranges. And I collect rocks as we go along, and to manifest wealth and money. I may go into that further. It's a bit much for some people, but I'm okay for money anyway at the moment. So must be doing something. Now I've got tea lights around the perimeter here, and you may think, and there's the trusty clock that runs on a little battery for months and months, and I got that out of the skip when they did a house clearance over the road. The guy died. It's like a 70s retro clock. I mean, look at the style, fantastic. And there's another rock. I think that one's from Serbia somewhere. And then you've got the tea lights there. Now, these tea lights, you might think, they don't have much effect. That one's from Serbia there, definitely. That's on the way to Lightchar. There's a little mountain range there, just past the Bulgarian border. And there's the nice stonework. So anyway, I'll go and sit down now, and then I'll just I'll cover the why I've got so many heat sources on the go. I'll just are we sitting comfortably? You see the sun coming in now as well, and it's coming up very early now. It's 9:30, and only 3-4 weeks ago it was 11 o'clock. So you can tell that it comes over the ridge, so you can tell that the sun's arc is getting towards almost normal. I think that the earliest it comes up is about 7:30 in the height of the summer, which is when you don't want it. So yeah, so in these cold snaps, right, it gets colder and colder, even though the temperature's the same. Like in the structures, well, everyone knows, well, should know about the idea of permafrost. It goes deeper and deeper into the ground as you go into the winter, and like so things get colder and colder. Like I've got stone walls here, and about 2 foot thick, either side of the house, but they get colder and colder as the cold snap continues. Obviously, the cold gets into them. It's like when you freeze something in the freezer. It freezes from the outside and goes right the way through eventually, and that's what's happening. So you've got to kind of increase the heating measures, I think. So that's why I've got all these measures, and these little tea lights. They make a hell of a difference for 2 reasons. One, obviously, to give off heat, and it's surprising how much candles give off. And people used to heat their homes in the old days, in the Wild West, and that, with tallow, and in ancient England, with tallow candles. They used to have 7 or 8 tallow candles, which burned for a long, long time. And that was a heat source to heat the house and give light. Very effective. And they clear the air as well, because they're burning all the crud in the air. And they keep things moving around as well. That's the other thing, the other reason why I like putting them around the perimeter of the room, is because they form their own little vector, the convection up the walls. So they're pulling. Usually, if you have one heat source like the fire, especially a wood burner, it's pulling. It pulls all the air. You can feel it. It pulls all the air in. So that's why I like having heat sources dotted around, because they each have their own little, and it evens out the convection around a room. If you like, even a candle, amazing. If you put a feather or something where the candle is, you can see the convection. Just let it go. And same with any heat source or fire. So that with all these heat sources, we're toasty warm here. I've got it warmer now than I normally would have. When the temperatures are higher, and the reason being is just that, because the structure of the house is fighting. It's getting colder and colder as the cold snap continues. And we've got another 2 days, possibly 3 days, of sub -12 temperatures. But as I say, in the house, it's like warmer than I normally have it. When it's a bit warmer, I'd just put an extra coat on, or extra layer or something, and go outside, because I don't like going outside now, because it's that cold, and there's nothing that you can do. Everything's frozen. It's like an ice tomb. The whole area, you can't touch anything, pick anything up. Everything's frozen solid. But I'm going to go and start the car. I've got the car on charge as well. That's another thing, round the clock. That's another thing I do as well. And I'll take it for a run after, just to keep things. You've got to keep these things moving. If that car's frozen up, doesn't matter just about the battery. It's everything on the car, and things go brittle. In times gone by here, I've snapped handles on cars. I'm not even really pulling them hard, because if they're like a composite plastic, they go brittle. They just snap in the cold, and the cold can do damage to plastics, and even if you get really cold like Siberian, to metals as well, makes metal brittle. So you got to be careful when you're opening the car. Don't force anything. Don't because I have snapped a couple of handles on cars, and not even putting any real force on them. So yeah, so we'll do the manifestation with the rocks and that. Now rocks, they've got ley lines in the UK, and they've got these ancient Wi-Fi stones, and also the Aborigines in Australia, they use the Wi-Fi, and they know where people are, and they go into I think they call it dreamland or dream, something to do with that. They go into dream weaver or something like that, and they can tune in, and they know where things are, people are, and water, things like that, and it works, and they can take you straight to it, and you wouldn't know it was there, and they haven't got GPS and everything like that, and they always knew where they were and all that when they went walkabout, and they've got them in Scotland and England, and you can see them in Scotland, and these big rocks, and they've got resonance between them. Now my backyard here is all rocks, yet the foliage and it goes crazy, and it's all growing through the cracks, just the cracks in the patio rocks. That's what's beneath all what outside. It's like a jungle, and it's living off two things. One of it's the moisture beneath the rocks is always constant. It's always there. It doesn't dry out. And then the rocks, they live off the minerals in the rocks, the plants, and some of them even just latch onto the plant and grow off the rocks. Just, the roots go into the rocks or on the surface, just extract the minerals that they need, and then the sunlight, obviously. So it's amazing when you see things like that. And there's a patch in the garden. There's certain tiny little patches where things grow prolifically. Now, whether there's something buried underneath, it might have been the farmer's wife or something like that. Or the farmer. There may be something buried under there, or a big animal or something like that. Why do or a dog? But it's prolific. The stuff grows like crazy, and it's just in between the wall and this other rock. And I've noticed just in that thing, these great big things grow 3-4 foot high in weeks. Amazing. But you can spot all these things when you're in nature like here, and you keep an eye on things. You're watching, then you see things, and it's funny if you go and plonk a seat in the garden. I like doing that in the morning, and just sit there. And because when you move into the garden, everything clears off. All the birds and pollinators and all that. So if you go back, if you go and just plonk a seat in the garden and just sit there, and everything starts coming back when they get used to it. And these hoverflies, they fly around like this, like hummingbirds, and they come and have a look at you. They come up to you, and they're like that, and it's like a little alien, and they're looking at you, they're scanning you, and if you go like that or like that, they just do that. They don't fly off because they're studying you. They're absolutely amazing, hoverflies, and they're pollinators, just like bees or any of the others. And there's two types of bees here. I don't know what you call the normal ones, but we've got bumblebees here, which are lovely things, And they reckon the aerodynamics is impossible for the speeds they reach and the distances with if they're going on just the wings flapping, do you reckon that's just for taking off and landing? And bees, do you reckon they run on resonance? They form a bubble around them with resonance, and it's all the hairs underneath, and it's like if you like a hovercraft. And they reckon they couldn't do it. And if you watch the bees, they've tracked bees, and they go 30 mile an hour. 30 mile an hour, and they couldn't do that. If you see the wings, and if you listen to them, and when they get going, it's like a buzz that couldn't be. It couldn't be like just with those wings, and that's the noise that they're going on this, and they form a bubble around themselves in the air, and whoosh, they're gone. Amazing, but there's not that much spoken about that, because they reckon there's some secrets about jet aircraft, that they form this bubble around them with the shape of the wings and all that, and all the fuel really is for taking off, landing, and taxiing, most of it. But they still need fuel when they're at high altitude, but very little. They can't glide. Obviously, they've got to be propelled forward, but the amounts of fuel that they say they carry and they say they need, is like it wouldn't fit in the wings where it's kept, and wherever else they put it on the aircraft. And really, it's only for the bulk of it is for taking off and landing, and then the rest of it, obviously, like I say, they've got to propel themselves and have, but they reckon it's like self-perpetuating almost when they get moving, but they still need a bit of fuel. But we're like, that's the theory anyway. You can believe it or believe it not, but if you go by what they say they use to fuel, then why is there only one tanker at the aircraft refilling it when it's on the tarmac? They only have one tanker, and they reckon they take 12 tankers to just put the fuel in that they say they use. Maybe that's why air travel's so cheap. You never know what all these people are up to. The world's upside down. It's completely not the way what you're told, or what's perceived, or what they tell you. And it's like food. We don't need all the food that we eat, obviously. People are like 20, 30 stone, and especially the type of food what we eat. But that's another subject, another day, another story. So that's how we're keeping warm in BJ. And I can feel now, even now, and I've got everything blazing and heating up, and it's still a little bit cool in here because I've only just ramped the fire up from having it on tick over all night. It actually went out, and I just got it going again. So yeah, and I'm gonna get a great big pot now, great big stew pot, and I'm gonna put that on the gas, on the lowest I can possibly get the gas, and that'll get a little convection thing going over there, and I'll have a pan of really hot water at the end of the day, and everything counts at this stage now, because we're getting into permafrost situation here, where it's been the last 3 nights have been minus 15 or so. It was minus 12, minus 15, minus 12, minus 16 last night, and tonight's going to be the same. I don't know what it'll get down to here, but We'll see. But this sun's helping. You can see the sun shining in now, and that's helping. And I'll go out afterwards, and when the sun goes round, I'll go and start the car. And it heats up really quick when the sun gets on the car, because it's black, and it's got black windows at the back, and it heats up really fast. And I'll go and start the car and give it a run. I'll go for a run. Although it's a bit treacherous at the moment. It's like the bobsleigh, because it's ice now and snow tyres. Ice is ice. I mean, you really need studded tyres then, if you're going to be perfectly safe on the ice. As long as you're careful. I mean, you do have still quite a bit of grip. But like some people, they drive round here as if it's like it's the middle of summer. You know, they're flying up and down this road here. And that's why they end up in ditches. And they do regularly. Because they get, like, I don't know, maybe overconfident. Because they haven't gone into a ditch yet. So they go faster and faster until they end up in the ditch or in a lamppost. Which happens quite a lot. Last week a wagon went into the lamppost down there. On the main road. It might have been the snowplow. He might have been texting or something like that. But anyway, so that's the latest from Bulgaria, and how to keep nice and cosy in a Watland daub ancient home. Okay, cheers.